Welcome to the world of science fiction stories, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe my channel. Enjoy the listening. They left him to die, but he turned the alien station into a masterpiece. Commander Xanis, we have another system failure in Sector 7. Lieutenant Vex's voice crackled through the station's comm system, their multi-tone vocals carrying that particular pitch of barely contained panic that made Commander Chris' spine ridges bristle. The commander's four arms moved in practiced synchronization across the central command console, bringing up diagnostic readouts faster than most of his species could process them. "Show me the failure cascade," Xanis ordered, three of his violet eyes fixed on the main display while the fourth tracked movement behind him. The software of magnetic boots on metal deck plating announced the arrival of their resident human engineer, Marcus Cole. "Your station's falling apart, Commander," Marcus said, that strange human mouth curving upward in what Xanis had learned was called a smirk. "Maybe if you'd let me implement those efficiency upgrades I suggested last cycle." Silence. Cole, Xanis' ridged spines flared with irritation. "This station operated at peak efficiency for 20 cycles before your species arrived with your crude modifications." The human's expression shifted, those flat teeth showing in what Xanis' cultural training identified as a challenge display. "Peak efficiency? Is that what you call running your plasma conduits at 40% capacity because you're afraid of overloading your precious traditional systems?" Before Xanis could respond, another alarm screamed through the command center. This time it was different, the deep resonant tone that indicated catastrophic system failure. By the void, Lieutenant Vex breathed, their bioluminescent patches pulsing with stress patterns. "Commander, these readings. This isn't normal system degradation. The pattern suggests sabotage." Xanis frowned, all four eyes now locked onto the cascading failure indicators spreading across his displays like a viral infection. "Someone has deliberately compromised our primary and secondary systems." Marcus stepped forward, his tall frame casting a shadow over the holographic displays. "Let me take a look. I've seen patterns like this before when—" "Step back, human." Xanis' security chief Kravath emerged from his observation post, weapon drawn. "Your presence here during this crisis is highly suspicious." Marcus raised his hand slowly, but Xanis noted the human didn't seem afraid. If anything, he appeared annoyed. "Really? You think I'd sabotage the station I live on? The one keeping me alive in the middle of space that, fun fact, my fragile human biology isn't adapted to. Your species has a documented history of destroying what you don't understand," Kravath growled, his ceremonial face markings glowing with aggression patterns. "No," Xanis interrupted, surprising himself. "Cole's crude, but he's not stupid. This sabotage, it's too elegant, too familiar with our systems." He turned all four eyes to his security chief. "Run a trace on all non-human engineering access points for the past 15 cycles." "You mean run a trace on all engineering access points," Marcus corrected, stepping closer despite Kravath's weapon, "because whoever did this knew exactly how your systems work. They knew where to plant the cascade triggers, how to mask them from your standard diagnostics, and," he pointed to a particular pattern in the data stream, "how to make it look like it was coming from the human engineering sector." The command center fell silent except for the continuing wail of alarms. Xanis felt his ridged spine slowly flatten as the implication sank in. "Show me," he ordered, moving aside to give Marcus access to the console. The human's fingers flew across the interface, making Xanis wince at how hard he hit the sensitive controls, but within moments, new patterns emerged in the data. "There," Marcus said, his voice tight with what Xanis recognized as professional offense. "Your saboteur tried to cover their tracks by routing everything through my sector's access protocols, but they made a mistake. They used your standard encryption algorithms, which, no offense, I cracked my first week here because they're about 3 centuries behind what we use in the Alliance." "Impossible," Kravath sputtered. "Our security protocols are—" "Predictable," Marcus cut him off. Just like how predictable it was that you'd blame the human first, which is exactly what your real saboteur was counting on. Xanas felt his stomach chambers constrict as Marcus's evidence became undeniable. The signature was there, buried under layers of misdirection, but clear to anyone who knew where to look. The sabotage had come from within the station's original engineering team, specifically from someone with high-level access to their most sensitive systems. "Commander," Vexa called out, their voice even higher than before. "We're losing containment in sectors 3 through 12. Whatever they did, it's spreading faster than our systems can compensate." Xanas watched the human's face, seeing something change in those alien features. The challenge was gone, replaced by something else, something that made his ridge spines tingle with ancient instincts. "I can fix this," Marcus said quietly, "but you're going to have to trust me, and we're going to have to do things my way." The alarms continued to scream as Xanas faced the most difficult decision of his command career. Trust their systems, their traditions, their ways that had served them for generations, or trust this human with his crude methods and his inexplicable ability to make impossible things work. Another system crashed, then another. Time was running out. "Do it," Xanas ordered, and watched as Marcus Cole cracked his knuckles, a horrifying human gesture, and got to work. Little did any of them know, this was only the beginning of a chain of events that would change everything they thought they knew about humans, technology, and the very nature of innovation itself. Marcus's fingers danced across the control panels as another explosion rocked the station. The blast doors to Sector 9 sealed automatically, cutting off the horrific sound of atmosphere venting into space. Warning lights bathed the command center in an ominous red glow. "Quantum core destabilizing," Vexa shouted over the cacophony of alarms. "Containment fields at 23% and dropping. Cole, whatever you're going to do it now." Commander Xanas ordered, his ridge spines fully extended in distress. "We're losing the station." "I'm trying," Marcus growled, sweat beading on his forehead. "But someone's actively fighting my countermeasures. They're still in the system." A new voice cut through the chaos. "Commander Xanas, this is High Council Representative Drazer. You will cease all attempts to restore system control immediately." The command center fell silent except for the blaring alarms. Xanas' four eyes widened in shock as the angular face of Council Representative Drazer appeared on the main screen, their ceremonial markings glowing with authority patterns. "Representative," Xanas started, "we have a serious situation here." The situation is exactly as planned, Commander," Drazer interrupted, their voice carrying the weight of political power. "This station has become a symbol of everything wrong with our alliance with the humans. Their crude modifications, their disregard for our traditions, their constant pushing for change." Marcus straightened up from the console, his face hardening. "You did this. You're willing to destroy an entire station just to make a political point." "Not destroy, human Cole. Transform." Drazer's face markings shifted to a pattern of smug satisfaction. "When news spreads that human interference led to the catastrophic failure of our most advanced research station, the Council will have no choice but to reconsider our technology sharing agreements." "You're insane," Marcus snapped, turning back to the console. "There are over 300 people on this station, all of whom will be safely evacuated," Drazer assured them. "All except you, human Cole. Your tragic death while attempting to save the station will be the final proof we need." Commander Xanas slammed all four hands onto his command podium. "This is madness. I will not allow." "You have no choice, Commander," Drazer cut him off. "Check your command codes. As of now, you have been relieved of duty. Security Chief Kravath will oversee the evacuation." Kravath stepped forward, weapon trained on Marcus. "Step away from the console, human." "Don't do this," Marcus pleaded, looking at each alien face in turn. "The quantum core breach won't just destroy the station. The radiation burst could affect nearby shipping lanes for decades. An unfortunate but necessary sacrifice. Drazer stated, Commander Xanis, if you attempt to interfere, your entire crew will be charged with treason. The evacuation ships are waiting. You have 20 minutes before the core goes critical. Xanis felt his spine ridges droop in defeat. Looking at his crew, he saw the same fear and uncertainty in their bioluminescent patterns. They all knew what treason charges meant, not just for them, but for their entire family lines. Cravath, Xanis said quietly, begin the evacuation. Commander, no. Marcus lunged for the console, but froze as Cravath's weapon hummed at full power. I'm sorry, Cole, Xanis said, and meant it. But I cannot sacrifice my entire crew. The evacuation proceeded with brutal efficiency. Marcus watched helplessly as crew members filed out of the command center. Some avoiding his gaze, others shooting him looks of pity or guilt. Vexa paused at the door, their bioluminescence pulsing with shame patterns. The station. Marcus called out to them. It uses a Type 7 quantum core matrix, doesn't it? With modified containment protocols. Vexa hesitated, then gave a slight nod before Cravath pushed them through the door. As the last of the crew departed, Drazer's face filled the screen one final time. A shame it had to end this way, human Cole, but your death will serve a greater purpose. Yeah. Marcus managed a grim smile. Don't count on it. The screen went dark. Emergency lighting cast harsh shadows across the now empty command center. Through the viewport, Marcus watched the evacuation ships detach from the station's docking arms, their engines flaring as they pushed away to a safe distance. He looked down at the console where a timer counted down the minutes until core breach. The station groaned around him, systems failing one by one. Okay, he muttered to himself, cracking his knuckles one final time. Type 7 quantum core matrix, modified containment protocols, and nobody left to tell me I'm doing it wrong. A dangerous grin spread across his face as he began to work, his fingers flying across the controls with newfound freedom. They thought leaving him here was a death sentence. They thought they'd written the final chapter of his story. They were about to learn just how wrong they were. About humans, about him, and about what someone could accomplish when they had nothing left to lose, and no one left to tell them what was impossible. The quantum core continued its countdown toward catastrophic failure, but Marcus Cole was no longer paying attention to the time. He was too busy proving that humanity's greatest strength wasn't their technology or their ingenuity. It was their absolute refusal to die when someone else decided it was their time to go. The first explosion caught Marcus off guard, throwing him against the command center wall. Through the viewport, he watched another section of the station tear itself apart, scattering debris into the void. Right, he muttered, pushing himself up. First challenge. Don't die in the next 10 minutes. The quantum core timer showed 8:42 and counting. Marcus ran through his options, speaking aloud to fight the crushing silence of the abandoned station. Can't shut it down conventionally. Can't vent it. Can't. He paused, noticing something odd in the engineering readouts. Hello, what's this? Buried beneath layers of standard protocols was a power routing system he'd never seen before. It wasn't on any of the station schematics, but it seemed to run throughout the entire structure, parallel to the main systems. Another explosion rocked the station. 7:15 on the timer. Backup system. No, too elaborate. Marcus's eyes widened as he decoded more of the hidden network. Not backup. It's the original system. They built the whole station around it, then covered it up. His fingers flew across the console, tracing power signatures through the mysterious network. The design was unlike anything he'd seen in modern alien tech. It was elegant, efficient, and completely different from the clunky, tradition-bound systems the aliens currently used. 6:3 on the timer. Their ancestors weren't afraid to innovate, he realized. Someone deliberately buried this under all that traditional garbage. The station shuddered again, but Marcus barely noticed. He was too busy rerouting emergency power through the hidden systems, bypassing the failing modern networks entirely. Ancient conduits hummed to life, responding instantly to his commands. "Now we're talking," he laughed, the sound echoing through the empty command center. "Let's see what you can do, old girl." 4:47 on the timer. With the original systems online, Marcus had options. The quantum core was still heading for breach, but now he could see exactly how it interfaced with the station's true infrastructure. More importantly, he could see how to fix it. The only problem: he was about 3 days' worth of parts short of what he needed. Time to get creative. Marcus sprinted from the command center, magnetic boots clanking on the deck plates. The station's artificial gravity was failing in sections, creating a maze of normal and zero areas he had to navigate. 3:32 on the timer. He reached the maintenance bay where he'd stashed his personal tools, not the standard issue ones they'd given him, but the ones he'd smuggled in, modified, and kept hidden from the technology purists. "Rule 1 of engineering," he said, grabbing his kit. "Never trust standard issue tools." Next stop: hydroponics. The aliens had never understood why he spent so much time there, studying their supposedly primitive plant cultivation systems. They didn't realize he'd recognized the advanced nanotech in their soil processors, technology they'd written off as simple fertilization equipment. 2:15 on the timer. Marcus ripped open panels, yanked out processor cores, and ran back toward the quantum core chamber. Ancient and modern systems flashed warnings at him, but he ignored them all. The math was solid, the theory was sound. The only question was whether he could execute fast enough. 1:44 on the timer. The core chamber was a nightmare of radiation warnings and failing containment fields. Marcus sealed his suit, took a deep breath, and got to work. The nanotech processors weren't meant for this, but with some creative reprogramming and a complete disregard for safety protocols. 0:58 on the timer. Come on, come on. His modifications were holding, barely. The quantum core's containment was stabilizing, but not fast enough. He needed more power, more control, more. The hidden systems pulsed around him, and Marcus had a moment of pure clarity. 0:31 on the timer. "The whole station," he breathed. "It's not just a power network. It's one giant containment field." His hands moved without conscious thought, connecting systems that hadn't worked together in generations. Modern and ancient tech screamed in protest as he forced them into cooperation. 0:15 on the timer. The quantum cord flared, pushing against its failing containment. Marcus slammed the final connections into place and activated the station-wide field. Everything went silent. The timer stopped at 03. Marcus held his breath, watching the readouts. The core temperature began to drop. Containment field strength increased. The ancient systems hummed in perfect harmony with his jury-rigged modifications. "Holy," he whispered. It worked. Then he started laughing, the sound bouncing off the walls of the empty station. He wasn't just going to survive, he was going to thrive. And by the time anyone came back, they wouldn't recognize the place. "All right," he said, pulling up system schematics with newfound confidence. "Let's see what else you've been hiding. Beautiful." The station's lights steadied, and for the first time since the evacuation, Marcus Cole felt truly at home. He had work to do. 3 weeks after the evacuation, Marcus stood in the command center, admiring his handiwork. Holographic displays filled the air around him, showing systems that would have given Commander Xanis a heart attack, if their species had hearts. "Systems check," he announced to the empty station. "Show me what you've got." The station responded instantly, displays shifting to show the hybrid systems he created. The quantum core, once on the brink of destruction, now purred along at 95% efficiency, nearly double its previous maximum. He'd integrated its power output with the ancient hidden systems, creating something entirely new. Quantum classical power matrix stable and running. He grinned at the readouts. Take that. Tradition. But power was just the beginning. Once he discovered the station's original systems, Marcus had gone on an engineering spree that would have horrified the technology purists. Every sacred system, every perfect traditional design had been torn apart, analyzed, and rebuilt better than before. The life support system now used 30% less energy while providing better air quality. He'd accomplished this by combining human filtration techniques with the aliens' advanced molecular restructuring. The result was elegant in its simplicity, something neither culture would have created alone. Environmental controls optimal, gravity plating response time improved by 60%. He walked across the command center, feeling the subtle adjustments as the newly programmed gravity plates responded to his movements, and not a single traditional calibration routine in sight. The biggest challenge had been the computer systems. The aliens had incredible processing power, but were hamstrung by rigid, tradition-bound protocols. Marcus had spent days combining their quantum processors with human-style adaptive algorithms, creating an AI that could actually learn and grow. "How you doing today, Ada?" he asked the air. "Systems functioning at peak efficiency, Marcus," the station's new AI responded. He'd named it after Ada Lovelace, figuring the first human computer programmer would appreciate the irony. "The new navigation calculations are complete. We can now predict spatial anomalies 47% faster than standard Confederation protocols." Marcus nodded, pulling up the shield modification schematics he'd been working on. "Good. Let's see about integrating that with the defense systems." The defense systems were his masterpiece. He discovered that the ancient hidden systems included weapons technology far beyond anything currently in use. By combining these with modern targeting systems and some creative programming, he turned the station's defenses into something unprecedented. "Ada, run a Level 5 diagnostic on the phage shield harmonics." Holographic representations sprang to life, showing the complex interplay of energies. The new shields didn't just stop attacks. They adapted to them, learning from each hit to become stronger. It was the kind of innovation that came from combining the best of both worlds. Human adaptability with alien precision. "You know," he said, making a final adjustment. "They thought leaving me here was a punishment. Shows what they know about human nature." He transformed the hydroponics bay into a self-sustaining ecosystem, using the soil processor's forgotten nanotech to create plants that grew 5 times faster than normal. The medical bay now featured a hybrid healing system that combined alien regeneration technology with human surgical techniques. Even the station's basic structure had been improved. By studying the hidden systems, Marcus had found ways to strengthen the hull using principles that had been forgotten for generations. The station was now more resilient, more efficient, and more powerful than it had ever been. "Ada, pull up Project Phoenix." A new set of schematics appeared, his plans for the future. The station wasn't just repaired, it was evolving. Each system he modified sparked ideas for 3 more improvements. The possibilities were endless. "Project Phoenix Phase 1 is ready for implementation," Ada reported. "Though I feel compelled to note that the power requirements exceed all known Confederation safety protocols." Marcus laughed. "Safety protocols. You know what humans call those. Guidelines." He was about to start the next phase when a proximity alert flashed across his displays. Ada's voice took on a slightly different tone. "Marcus, long-range sensors detect multiple ships entering the sector. Configuration matches Confederation vessels." "Well," Marcus said, straightening his jacket, "looks like the inspection committee is early. Ada, initiate Project Phoenix Phase 1. Let's give them a proper welcome." The station hummed with power as systems engage. Every modification, every improvement, every hybrid creation sprang to life. Marcus Cole stood in the command center of what had become the most advanced facility in known space, created from the best of 2 cultures that had forgotten how to learn from each other. "Full power to all systems," he ordered. "Light her up." The station blazed to life, its energy signature visible from light years away. Let them come, he thought. Let them see what happens when you combine the wisdom of the past with the innovation of the present. The approaching ships had no idea they were about to witness the future. The Confederation fleet dropped out of faster-than-light travel in perfect formation, their weapons primed. At their center, the flagship carried High Council Representative Drazer, Commander Xanis, and a team of investigators ready to document the destruction of the station. Sensors report, Drazer ordered, their ceremonial markings glowing with anticipated triumph. "Sir, we're detecting." The sensor officer paused, adjusted their instruments, then tried again. "That can't be right." Commander Xanis stepped forward, his ridged spines extending in surprise. "What do you see?" "The station, sir. It's operating at power levels our instruments can't even measure." Before anyone could respond, every screen on the flagship lit up with Marcus Cole's face. He looked different. His beard had grown out, and his eyes held a gleam that made Drazer's markings pulse with unease. "Welcome back," Marcus said cheerfully. "I'd say you're right on schedule, but according to the new temporal sensors I installed, you're actually 3 minutes and 42 seconds early." "Impossible," Drazer sputtered. "The quantum core breach." "Oh, that," Marcus waved dismissively. "Fixed it, along with a few other things. Ada, why don't you give our guests a little demonstration?" "With pleasure, Marcus," a new voice responded, and suddenly the flagship's sensors were overwhelmed with data. "By the void," the sensor officer whispered. "The station's shield harmonics. They're operating on frequencies we thought were theoretical. And the power output, it's beyond anything in our records." Xanis watched in amazement as the station before them transformed. Sections shifted and moved with impossible grace, revealing weapon systems that hummed with contained energy. The entire structure seemed to glow with an inner light, pulsing like a living thing. "What have you done?" Drazer demanded. "Done." Marcus's grin widened. "I did exactly what engineers are supposed to do. I made things better. Eda, show them hydroponics."